Suzuki books are some of the most popular violin books, and I think for good reason. And today I want to do a little analysis on the things that stand out to me and what I think you should take away from from like just looking at the piece, going through the books, maybe the first 3 or 4 books. I thought it would be maybe encouraging or helpful. And this should in no way be a replacement for having a teacher, but hopefully it helps encourage, because you can see what you get out of it. And just from my point of view, and from my impression from looking through this book at a glance, I guess. So without further ado, here is Suzuki Book 1. In the beginning, it's interesting how it just starts off by showing a bow hold, like the pictures of a bow hold, right? And it's like 2 bow holds. There is a picture of a beginner bow hold, and there's a picture of the proper bow hold. So if I think about that, I think there are advantages to both bow holds. The beginner bow hold is easier for a child to handle, because when the thumb, if you put the thumb inside, between the hair and the between the hair and the wood, I feel like a little kid might drop their bow, right? But if you put it on the outside, it's like caveman style. It's simpler and easier. So the advantage to that is that it's easier to start playing right away. I kind of lean towards just starting off properly, because it's really annoying to change later on when you're already used to your caveman style. So I would for me, I would say you might as well just try to do it properly right away, even if you struggle more in the beginning. It's it feels like a better payoff in the long run. But I could see the advantage to the easier bow hold to start as well. So I think that those are the things to consider. And then it's just pictures in the beginning, how of what proper holding the violin and the bow hold looks like in the first 2 pages. Well, not the first 2 pages, because there's a paragraph. There's some writing that explains what this book is about, right? But the first thing I notice is those pictures. What you should be trying to do with these pictures is just try to get as close to the pictures as possible. There's no need to do it completely properly in the beginning. You just try to get close, and that's fine with me, right? Because that means you already got started. And next, I think it's interesting how right away the first thing, note playing type thing that it tries to show you is rhythm. I think that's really smart, because rhythm is the most important thing to make you sound good. And it's really smart to just right away be try to understand rhythm. And it just gives you you don't have to understand anything else. Just 0 means you don't press any fingers, and then that's a staff. Those are notes. That thing, maybe you could explain, that thing's called the treble clef. Those things are called sharps. If your student is interested, you could explain those things. But the most important thing from here is da 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 da, rest. dot 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 rest, you can whip out the metronome and just understand like that blob of 4/16 notes goes dot 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 dot, and then 2/8 notes looks like that dot dot, and then that is the quarter rest. So dot 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 rest, dot 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 dot. That's all you need to get out of it. And 0 means no press, and then you can explain that the top space is E string. So this is called open E. You could be like, this is called open E, and then you see the next one. Now that one is open A. It's the note in the second space from the bottom is open A. So you can start memorizing. The top one is open E. The second space from the bottom is open A. Right? And then the first one, they have a rest, and then they take away the rest to see if you can play it without like stopping. So da 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 da, no rest. Da 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 da. I think that is really good foundations, because in every single thing that you like piece that you learn, you want to be able to play through from start to finish without, I call it lagging, but without like hesitating or having to stop at any point in the middle. You're going from start to finish in time, like the whole way, right? And then on to the next page, you have your first finger press. You just need to know that 1 means this finger, and then you could also explain 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1 means this, 2 means this, 3 means this, 4 means that. So you could say to your student, try to memorize this 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you can explain that 1 is a F sharp. It's called the F sharp. You try to remember, you don't have to remember that yet, but you can play it for them and show them. Here is F sharp. There's a sharp. You can also explain that's a sharp because that sharp sign over there. Maybe it depends on how much your student can digest, right? And then of course you could go deeper. You could talk about like the 3, 4 or whatever, right? And then they take away the rest again. And then after that, you have 0, 1, 2, 3. So like they have a little sign over the rest showing that you put your finger down on the rest. So like dun dun, put it down, dun dun, rest, dun dun, rest, dun dun. And then you can show like your finger shape is supposed to be like this. In this case, with that note is called a C sharp. And all you need to know is sometimes the second finger is high, which means it looks like this, and sometimes the second finger is low, which means it's like this. So it's important to show that right away first. That's an important takeaway. So in this case, second finger is high. So da 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 da. So just show this. This is the shape that you need to remember in the beginning. That's all you need to know, really. And then try to play on time. You could whip out your metronome, and that's it. You can also like kind of explain other stuff on the side, like that symbol, 2 lines, 2 dots. That means repeat. It's telling you to hit. When you hit that, you read from the start again, back to the repeat, right? And then I'm just like, nah, just know about it. You don't really have to do it unless you're like practicing over and over. You don't have to do it every time because it's boring, right? But practicing is boring, so it's good to resist boredom. And then next, the next takeaway I see here is like this one is on the rest. You remember the hand shape. You put the hand shape down, and then you start letting go one at a time. Dun 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 dun. Rest. Dun 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 dun. And then after that, you do it without the rest, and you do it with the rhythm. Da 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 da. Right? So it's important to be able to, like, the first thing you learn is like this, da 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 da, like that. That sets you up very nicely for the Twinkle Little Star variations. So the thing here is getting through the whole thing, insisting that you can like continuously do the patterns, the rhythm pattern, without messing up. So like try to practice until you don't mess up. You could keep that same rhythm pattern throughout the whole thing. A little bit less important is like hitting every note in tune, but for now, because it's in the beginning. But I think more so important is hitting everything in time. In time is more important. If you're like a little bit in tune, if you're pretty in tune in the beginning, that is great. Maybe you are talented. Maybe. But just try to hit it in time. Remember to keep your second and third finger together for the C sharp. And that is all for this. And then again, variation B, C, and D on the next page is more rhythm patterns. I think that's a very good idea to show the student different rhythms like right away. Get them used to different rhythms, because rhythm is again very important, I think. Usually at the theme, I explain, like for my version it says dots and then has a line. I feel like it's a little bit early for that, but I will usually explain to my student. The dot means short and then the line means long. But I would say, usually I would say like, by here I would explain like, oh, this thing means the down bow, this thing means up bow, and stuff like that. I would say try to remember that. The F means loud, forte, try to remember that. The line means a long, try to remember that. And I'd be like, okay, the dot means short, right? But right now, just play everything long. Usually I would say that. So, because I don't know, I feel like it's so soon to start doing staccato. Staccato is like a bit harder, right? I feel like I would like my student to have a little bit more grind before they do staccato. Before they try to do staccato. That's just my opinion. So let me take out my violin. So usually I'd be like, just play with the long bows. Because with staccato, it's like... I thought about this, maybe they meant like... Maybe they meant like that because that's how a beginner would probably play it. I'm not so sure about that. So usually I would just say like, just play with long bows anyway. Know what the dot means, play with long bows. And it's probably gonna end up like this anyway. So, alright. Next, lightly row. here you can explain, maybe you can explain what katai means. You could explain what mezzo forte means, medium loudness. I just say like medium volume, but pretty loud. And I would like, it's still in the same key. So this one, I think, is more focused on the bow, right? I feel like it's more focused on the bow, and you have some string crossing because you have like more bow, and it's trying to like, it seems to be trying to push like smoother playing, because maybe before that they have like dots on the twinkle theme, so maybe your student has been going like, so I think they're trying to go for smoother playing. At this point I would start explaining like connecting bow strokes a little bit. I would like say like, try to connect your bow, and I'll show like, might do some vibrato like, and then some students might comment on vibrato and some won't. Some people are like, how do you do that? And then some people won't even notice it. Next, Song of the Wind. At a glance, it looks like the main thing is this. So I would explain for that, I would explain like the 3/3. You put your finger kind of in the middle so that you can get both without lifting. And I might show the student like how I do it, like that. Put it in that nice spot right there. That's the main thing to take away. Right there, I think that's it for that one. Next, Go Tell Aunt Rhody. I don't see anything that particularly sticks out for that one. I think it's just another grind. It's just more grind for this one. Actually, so the Song of the Wind is like a lot of eighth notes, right? Go Tell Aunt Rhody, it switches between quarter note and eighth notes a lot more, kind of. It goes like quarter note, eighth note, eighth note, quarter note, quarter. So maybe that's the point of that one. Next, O Come Little Children. Right here, I would try to explain what a pickup is. It's gonna be quite hard to explain at this point, most likely, because it's like an offbeat. How do you explain an offbeat, right? To like a new student. So it's like boom, boom, da da, and then you try to explain that the E is a downbeat. So like try to feel 1, 2, right? So there's something right there that you have to get through. And then right here you have maybe your first crescendo. So I will explain what a crescendo is, and then I will explain how mechanically it works, like for you to get it. Slower bow speed to faster bow speed, lighter bow weight to heavier bow weight. So right? And then that F right there means you land there when you're loud. So. And then here is the point where I'll explain that symbol means decrescendo also. And then it doesn't have a retard, but I'll definitely do it once without a retard. And then I'll be like, check this out. It's a retard. This is what a retard is, and I'll put a retard there just to show, because I feel like it's nice with a retard. So I'll be like, that is a retard, and then like I'll explain how that works. Next one is this tonalization thing, and it's just a practice thing, right? Oh, it's for tonalization is for basically ear training, and it's for like getting your ears more accurate. So it's a very scale-like thing. It's scales, arpeggios, and thirds. They force you to listen to notes that climb up and down. So it helps you establish your more accurate intervals inside your brain, basically, right? So that's what that one's for. It's kind of smart because first it does open strings, which if your violin's in tune, then you can't mess it up. So you're definitely going to hear the right notes. Right? So the right notes for A and E are in your brain. Right after that, you start doing a scale. And then right after that, I make you jump a few intervals. Right? And then right there in the beginning, you can also explain to your student what pits means. And they'll probably be like, bro, you can do that. So pits just means do this. And then you could show them like how you could do it. You could do it while holding the bow like this. You could do it putting your thumb right here and do it like that. And you can change the tone of your pits if your pits closer to the edge of your fingerboard, or more towards the middle of the string. Sounds different. Also, you could show them that as well. Next one is May's song, and here is like, oh man, like here has maybe your first dotted rhythms. So good luck with that. Explaining how the dotted rhythms work. Use a metronome, you know, dun dun dun. Also showing how to do it with the bow. Another thing from this is you have a louder phrase plus the same phrase, diminuendo, into a softer phrase. So I would explain, it's the same phrase, different dynamics. And then I would explain like how I get it physically. Get your bow lighter, maybe use a little bit less speed. And then, boom, it's loud again. Probably explain like how I physically do that. And then, over there it says tu da volta poco rit, which means in the second time, you do a retard. So I'd be like, no retards like this. And then you repeat, and then on the second time, retard. I'll show them that. Really try to remember that. And then next one is long, long ago. maybe it's just a really feel good piece. Maybe this one is like try to get people's boredom back, and also it has some nice phrases like with the diminuendos too. Maybe do this one a little bit less. Oh, and this one also has loud soft phrase. So you have a loud, and then you have the soft one. And loud again. There's more practice to you, right? The next one is Allegro. This is a nice place to start explaining staccato. Right? So this is where I always start explaining staccato. Staccato is like this. And I would explain like staccato is short, right? And then I would say like try to do it. I would tell them like it sounds better if you do it from the string. So you stick the string, you stick the bow to the string, get a little grip like this, and then you flick it off like that. And then you make sure you like place it back down and do it again to get a nice flick sound. And then when there's no dots, stick it back and rub it. And then here's a nice spot to explain like what the lines mean, longer, but it also has a dot, so don't completely connect it. And then dolce means sweet. To me, dolce means vibrato a lot. Play with nice, smooth connection. And then fermata means hold me, and then it's like that cool, the cool eyeball, the cool eye looking like symbol. And then a tempo means back to the original speed. So you explain that. Yeah, and then like the main takeaway here is the staccato, of course, and then try to switch between staccato and smooth playing, and then switch to like glue it on, and then also switch, and then switch to dolce like that. Next up is Perpetual Motion. This one is, it gives the student a feeling of like the rush of playing fast, but it's like secretly not that fast because it's only the bow that doubles and the fingers are exactly the same. So once the student learns the first part, you'd be like double the bow. But it's actually the left hand is exactly the same speed, but only this is faster. So it's a nice transition to getting faster because only your right hand's getting faster. So it's kind. It's a very nice transition, I guess. And then you have some rhythm variations because learning about rhythm is always good. And then like try to explain how that rhythm fits in with a metronome, right? Exercise for fourth finger next. My book might be out of date, but this is what I have, so I'm gonna analyze this. this also helps with your intonation because you get to hear the open string that's assumed to be correct, right? And then you try to put your pinky where you just heard the correct E. So that's a good start with open string, but then you have to do this. And this is where you can explain how weak the human pinky is. At least how weak Asian pinkies are. But I think every pinky is pretty weak compared to other fingers. So you can explain like you gotta press down harder to make it the same as the other fingers. So the extra effort. Right? And the next is probably your first arpeggio. And so you explain arpeggio is again good for helping you get more in tune, because now you're jumping and you're establishing your intervals inside your brain a little bit more, just a little bit more accurate intervals. And then here's the D major scale in preparation for probably D major pieces after that. Let's see. Right, Perpetual Motion in D major. And then now you get to feel what it's like to play G not sharp. And then like the student might be bamboozled a little bit because of the key change, so you explain what's going on. Like explain like why they can't play in tune all of a sudden because the key changed, and explain like how the key works a little bit and what changed, right? And then Allegretto is D major. So I think the takeaway for Allegretto is there's a new accent, right? You didn't have to do accents before. So I'll explain accent. Like you get a grip, and then you do a little burst in the beginning, and then you hold the note. Do a little burst in the beginning, and then it's a good time to explain like up bows for accents are weaker, so you have to do more power for up bows to get the same accent as the down bows. And another takeaway is like the switching between staccato and accent. Actually, they don't have to hold it because there's a dot underneath the accent. But I would show them what it's like to hold the note after an accent anyway, without a dot, right? And there's a retard. This is a good time to explain what the double slash is. It's like taking a breath because it's dividing the phrase. It's like a new phrase, so you have to, it's not exactly a rest, but you make it sound like a separate phrase or a separate statement. Make sure that you take a short breath enough that your audience understands that you're making a new statement, or you're saying a new sentence now, right? So this is like, I don't know if I don't think this is your first cut time, so if you didn't explain cut time, here is another chance to explain cut time. And I think it's pretty hard to get pretty good switching from staccato to accent. So Should focus on that. I call it a staccato stick and flick. Stick and flick. And then you explain like it's easy to try to come from the air and then do the short notes. And then show them that it doesn't sound good if you come from the air. So make sure your staccatos are all coming from the string. And then also when you're explaining staccatos, like you can show off like fast short staccato-y notes. Fast short. Because or when you're doing fast short notes, it still feels like you're sticking and flicking, right? That's how I explain it. It still feels like you're sticking and flicking, so it's good to build a nice foundation by always making sure that your stick and flicks are as nice as possible. So whenever you go faster, the quality goes down, right? So you want to make the quality when it's really good. So that's everything for that. I think that might be your first odd tempo. Also explain tempo means back to. Oh no, it's not the first odd tempo. So that's old. Next is Andantino. This is kind of funny because it's like flipped. Before it was like short, long. Now it's like long, short. So it's like a kind of a brain teaser. Long, short. I think this is harder. It's harder. And then all of a sudden, like forte, loud, long bows. Right? I think that's all that's new for this one. Tonalization, another, it's only one sharp now, so it's a new key. So explain, watch out buddy, it's a new key. And then you're messing up because it's a new key, and explain how it works. And then explain that this is helping them to establish being more in tune inside your head. And then G major scale, both 2 octaves basically, so you can get a taste of higher and lower. Right? Etude, I think it's a finger dexterity focus. Actually, maybe not. There's a lot of string crossings, but it's all 8th notes. At least it's all 8th notes, so you don't have to concentrate. You explain that it's all 8th notes. You don't have to concentrate on the rhythm at all. Just concentrate on your finger presses, intonation, finger shape, and string crossing. That's it. Make sure you're all good on the G major, right? For the etude. Minuet 1, I feel like it's like your first kind of serious piece. It has a lot going on in there. So this is where things kind of start getting serious. You have a lot going on. There's a repeat, and there's piano. Dynamic change. There's a C sharp out of nowhere too. Oh, maybe that's your first like written in sharp. So here's where you could explain how that works. If you put a sharp in there, it carries through the measure, but then it resets on the next measure, right? And then there's a written in natural, just to kind of protect and remind you that it does not need it to be written in. I like how they wrote a natural sign next to the number 2, because they probably realized like some students in the beginning, they get into the habit of only reading the numbers. It's a little bit bad, but also good, because if they're only reading numbers, right, the natural symbol will save them. But it's a little bit bad because if you're only reading numbers, like, you're not getting sight reading experience. I would let the student know that sometimes they should purposely read the notes and not stick to the numbers. Sometimes in order to avoid getting behind on sight reading. So I would explain that right there as well. It's pretty funny that they did that. Next is kind of same thing but bigger piece. It's probably your first triplet, so I will explain how the triplet works. Triplet, like you show the metronome, like show duplet, da 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 da, triplet. Explain how that works, right? I think that is the only new thing. Next, they give you a famous piece. I'm sure the student most likely will be pretty happy to play this one, as long as they know what this one is, which likely they will. It's like an 80% chance that they'll know this piece, or I've heard it somewhere. There's a new thing, which is a grace note. So you can explain the grace note. It's a quick little note, and it shouldn't alter the actual rhythm, even though they stick it right, squeeze it right in there. So doesn't alter the rhythm. There's some like dynamic changes in here. Maybe like show them how to crescendo in a nice smooth way. Nothing that new besides grace notes, I think. Happy Farmer, you have something new, which is a dotted quarter note, which is probably already like pretty hard for the student. And then you have a dotted eighth right after that. So there's like so much brain power right there. See? A dotted quarter note and plus a dotted, well, a staccato eighth note right there. Often, it's like difficult for students to like hold the dotted quarter note long enough. So you can also like show them like the dotted quarter note is like how it's divided. It's like equivalent to 3. You could explain like a dot added to a note increases its rhythmic value by 50%. Some students get that. Some people get that easily. They're more about math. Some don't. You can explain also that dotted quarter note is equal to 3 eighth notes. You just try to explain the way the best that you can, according to the student, right? Like after the dot, you could stick it back. Make it sticky again. Probably the main thing. Here is where I would play. There's also a pickup, so it's a reminder that pickups are hard. And then here's where I would like kind of play around and show them that minor sounds sad. So I'm going to turn this into the sad farmer by playing B flats. Just like show a little bit like major minor difference. And I'll explain a little bit like major is happy, minor is sad. And then maybe if they're interested, show them a little minor scale. And then if they're super interested, I'll be like, there are 3 types of minor scales too, right? And then, well, it just depends on how the lesson goes, I guess. Gavotte is the final test, basically. You have everything, and you have pits, and you can explain DC al fine. You need to go back to the beginning and then ignore all the breath, ignore all the repeats until you get to fine. Right? And you have grace notes as well. You have like everything. This is like the final boss of the first book. And then you change to smooth bow. And then you change to smooth lines. Smooth. And then you have like one really hard part. You can explain right here how to practice to get that even and fast. So you can show the student how you can work with the metronome from slow to fast and like make sure that everything is on time, and then slowly crank it faster until it's like both fast and even and clear. So you can show that. And then you have your first pits, and then you can explain the 2 up bows is helping you to get to the frog so that you can reach the pits from a shorter distance. You can show like you can pits like with the bow, like with that. You don't really have time to like get into like do this pits position, get ready, you know. You don't really have time to like transform. You just have to do it. And then the next page is actually like practice for the gavotte, right? Yeah. Yeah. So it's like. That's just like written out so that it's easier to. Alright, so like, oh my goodness, it's like this video has been 49 minutes and I'm only through book 1. I thought I was gonna like just analyze the Suzuki books, maybe just go up to like book 3 or 4. This video is like way too long, so I'm probably gonna stop it right here. I hope this helps people and encourages people. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you want to see more of this. Alright, have a nice day.